Well, this is just embarrassing. I mean, okay, Randall Grichuk made it 12-5 with another hit. Jays, well, as of right now, they're losing 12-5 to the Baltimore Orioles, and they lose the series. You kidding me? After sweeping them at home, taking 2 of 3 from the Phillies, you lose the first 2 against the O's. Now, with these 2 losses, the Jays have now lost 6 straight road games. Not good at all. Story today, though, Thomas Pannone was horrible. Not even remotely close to what he did in his first outing against the Baltimore Orioles. He only went 3 1/3, gave up 9 hits, 7 runs, and walked a guy. He was throwing a lot of balls over the middle of the plate, and he was getting crushed. And a lot of the outs he was getting were hard hit balls. You know, he did not do a good job whatsoever in this game. Now, again, it's a young pitcher. He had a bad outing against a bad team. Oh, well, it happens to everybody. It happens to anybody and everybody. It just happens. Whatever. You got to move on from that, Thomas. And Jays fans, we got to try and move on from this. But this is just disgusting to watch. Now, if you're trying to find positives at all, offensively, the Jays weren't all that. I mean, well, they get 12 hits and they score 5 runs. Okay. They had opportunities, though, to get back in the ball game. I think it was like the 4th or the 5th inning. The Jays had the bases loaded with 2 out. They had runners on. They had a lot of big situations where they could have drove in runs but could not. Now, ideally, you give up 12 runs, you're more or less going to lose a game no matter what the score is. But this was terrible. So let's run through this real quick. Gurriel was 1 for 5. He struck out once, but it's good to see him get back in the hit column, and he scores a run as well. Devin Travis was 1 for 4 and also walked once, and he scored 2 runs. Justin Smoke was 2 for 5. Yeah, he fired a smoke bomb. That's all I'm going to do right there because it was a terrible game. Anyways, 2-run shot in the game. Randall Grichuk with the single, like I just said earlier on. He goes 4 for 5 with a 2-run shot and a run scored, obviously, on his home run ball. So Grichuk with that 4-hit game, he's now hitting 241 on the year, guys. Randall Grichuk, the guy that a lot of people wanted traded or cut or released by the end of April when he got injured. And I said to give him a chance. I said give the guy a couple months, give him till the trade deadline, and if he's terrible, let him go. But he has really turned things around. He's now hitting 241 on the year. Great job there. Kevin Pillar, he was 2 for 4 with an RBI in this ball game. He's hitting 255 on the year. Again, since he's come off the DL, he's been swinging the bat pretty well. Teoscar Hernandez, remember when he came in for that pinch hit at bat? I think was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. He went 1 for 1, obviously, with that hit. And today, he goes 2 for 4. And the thing for me, he does not strike out once. You don't see that too often from Teoscar. Actually, is he batting right now? Hold up a second. Oh, wait, that's the ball game, right? 12-5. Okay, what happened at the end? Did Teoscar Hernandez strike out, or did he go and Pilar grounded out? So, okay. Teoscar Hernandez goes 2 for 4 and does not strike out. Average up to 241 for Teoscar. Okay, and does not strike out. That's something we look at as a very big positive. And he was a DH today. He could focus on hitting. I kind of like him in that DH role. Kendrys Morales gets the day off after that crazy streak ended yesterday. But the bottom of the lineup, though, Jansen went 0 for 2, but he also walked twice. That's what Danny Jansen is going to do. He may not give you the big hits all the time, but he will grind at bats and he will walk. Look, his batting average is .313, yes, but that will drop. The on-base percentage is .395. That is great to see from Danny Jansen. And in his 10 games that he has played, he has walked, what? Okay, he only walked once, but he's walked 3 times in the 10 games he's played. Not bad. And he's only struck out 4 times. Did he strike out today? No, he did not. 4 times in 10 games. It's a very good number for a catcher. Again, we got to try and find positives here because there's not much. And Billy McKinney, yes, he went 0 for 3 and struck out once, but he did walk once. So there you go. Billy McKinney on-base percentage of .463 stays pretty good. Pitching-wise, like I said, Pannone was atrocious. Biagini went an inning and 2/3, gave up 3 hits and 2 runs. See what I mean, guys? With Joe Biagini, he has his great outings, then he's terrible. Today was one of his outings where he wasn't really good. Tim Mayza came out, and over the last little while, Tim Mayza has been pretty darn good, and I think he could be a lefty in the future. Now, back in that game against the New York Yankees, where he had 4 runs on 4 hits and 2/3 of an inning, that was terrible. But since then, he's gone 4 innings of 1-hit baseball and struck out 5 guys and only walked 1. He's been very good, dropped his ERA to 4.88. Again, you got to give guys like this a chance. And I like what they're doing there. Tepera threw a clean inning, gave up a hit. And Murphy Smith came out there in the bottom of the 8th inning, gave up 4 hits and 3 runs. He really wasn't all that good. And the Jays lose again. Second in a row to the Baltimore Orioles. The O's look for the sweep tomorrow, for goodness sakes, against Blue Jay killer Alex Cobb. And Ryan Borucki is on the mound for the Blue Jays. Last time he faced the Orioles, he was very good. We've seen that before with Thomas Pannone, but Borucki's been more consistent for this team. He looks for another good outing, ERA of 4.12 and a 3.3 record for Borucki. He looks to continue to pitch well against the Orioles, I guess, at Camden Yards, and look to avoid the sweep of the O's. My God. It's quite disturbing. Now we're going to go have some fun here, Blue Jay fans, and go look at around the minor leagues and see what's going on for us Blue Jays. Okay, I know it was a fun day for the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. Obviously, they clinched the playoff spot. I think it was yesterday or something along those lines. And today they brought out the bats. Jon Berti. Yeah, name sound familiar? Probably not. He plays a lot in spring training. We've seen him quite a few times there. He went 4 for 5, and yes, he had the cycle. He hit for the cycle there in New Hampshire, went 4 for 5, and he's hitting 298 down there, or 298. I don't know what that voice crack was. I've hit puberty, I promise. But Jon Berti, I mean, he's 28 years old. He's not a guy coming up. He's going to be a young guy, whatever. Bo Bichette, however, one of our young guys coming up, went 3 for 5, 2 runs scored, a couple doubles, a home run, 3 RBIs. Bichette had a great ball game. His average now to 283. He's starting to find himself as the season progresses and going into the playoffs. A guy I preached about in the last video, Harold Ramirez. He went 2 for 5 with a home run and an RBI. He's now hitting 315 on the year. Biggio, Kevin Biggio went 2 for 4 in the ball game with an RBI and a walk. He's now hitting 261. Again, guys, he was really struggling at one point in the 240s. He's really come up over the last little while here. Pitching-wise, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Now let's go to Vladdy Jr., guys. And I mean, a very, not a big game for Vladdy. They had a doubleheader today. He played game 1 of the doubleheader, and I just hit the box score. I had a game day. We're all doing this live, guys. You know what? We're going to be mediocre like the Blue Jays were today. How about that? I think Vladdy went like 1 for 3 with an RBI or something like that. I'm just looking him up here. All right, so we got it open. Look at this, all live, love it. Dalton Pompey, I think a guy that we're going to be seeing, in September. He went 2 for 3 with a double and a couple RBIs, and he walked once. He's hitting 278 there in Buffalo. Dwight Smith Jr., who's been red hot for the Bisons, he goes 2 for 3 with a double, and he's hitting 276 on the year. Again, a guy that I think we might see in September. Again, the outfield is pretty crowded. Maybe Granderson moves before the August 31st deadline, but we're getting pretty close to that, so we'll have to wait and see when it comes to that. Vladdy Jr., like I said, goes 1 for 3 with an RBI. Mediocre ball game for Vladdy, only hitting a minuscule 348 on the year in there in Buffalo. Just a great job there by Vladdy. But that's where we're going to leave it there. I mean, I don't think he was playing game 2, but let's check out Buffalo for good measures, guys, before we wrap this baby up here. Jonathan Davis, he led off. No, didn't really do anything. Ramon Fields went 2 for 4. Alford 1 for 3. Rowdy Tellez 1 for 3. But that's really, Sean Reed Foley got torched. He was horrific. So, not so great there. But you know what, guys? Hey, that's why we saw Bo Bichette do some good things. And that's a guy we've kind of been, he's been up and down this year. But over the last few months, guys, he's really found his stroke heading into the playoffs. A guy that, you never know, could be on the Jays next year, depending how the roster shapes up moving forward. All right? So, guys, like we said earlier, tomorrow, the finale of the series, 7:05 first pitch at Camden Yards. I'm not sure when that upload is going to be. It will be tomorrow night. I can guarantee you guys that. But it all depends on what happens with my playoffs in my baseball. We could be playing later. It could be done sooner. I don't know exactly how it's all going to work out, but it will be uploaded tomorrow night. Ryan Borucki against Alex Cobb in the finale at Camden Yards. All right, so you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed this video, and you guys enjoyed, not this game today, but you guys enjoyed the New Hampshire Fisher Cats game if you watched it at all. Smack that like button. I do appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. Comment down below. What'd you guys think of the game today? What'd you think of Thomas Pannone? I mean, he had a rough ball game. I want to hear what you guys have to say about him. What are your impressions on Randal Grichuk? I know he had a big ball game today, but over the course of the season, what are your feelings towards him? My personal ones, he's got power, he can run, he's a good defender, and he's got a little bit of an arm to him. His average might not be 300, but if he can hit 240, 250 for me and hit 20 home runs and play good defense, you would never see me complain. And that's what he's doing right now for the Toronto Blue Jays. Very happy with that. Again, early impressions on Danny Jansen. What do you think they should do with Pannone moving forward? I know it's only one bad start, but what do you think they should do, all right? So we'll talk to you guys tomorrow, podcast edition. Link is in the description for the podcast channel and for the podcast itself on iTunes, guys. I know I tweeted out earlier about possibly doing fantasy for baseball, basketball, and hockey, maybe in the near futures and all that stuff. Guys, Evan and I will be talking about that on the podcast a little bit. So, guys, go look for that. It'll probably be near the end of the segment, just a heads up there. But if you guys are interested, you know, we'll be telling you guys when we'll be making the league and kind of figuring all that stuff out on the podcast tomorrow afternoon. Link is in the description for the podcast channel and for the podcast on iTunes. Twitter is down below. Follow up, send me a DM, do all that great stuff. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow night as we hope for no sweep from the flipping Orioles, because that would be a lot of fun to talk about how the Jays got swept by a team who hasn't even won 40 games yet. Really, it wouldn't be. It might be a rage video. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. Ryan Borucki, Alex Cobb at Camden Yards, 7:05 first pitch. We'll talk to you guys then.